relevant boxing talk, to talk all things boxing relevant, and to talk things relevant to boxing. I want to talk about race, fan bases, and Teofimo Lopez in this episode. Start with Teofimo Lopez here. He's back in the news again for saying some remarks with the uses of the N word. This was concerning, the potential, the fantasy matchup between him and Terrence Bud Crawford. He's, playing around using the N word once again. This isn't the first time we caught Teofimo Lopez in the N word cookie jar. He when his back and forths with Devin Haney, I'm sure he used to, played around with the N word there. He was like rumor has it he was beat up in the gym, or not him, but his dad was beat up in the gym by the Keyshawn Davises for his dad's use of the N word. I remember there was like a fight, and the dad was in the corner, senior was in the corner. He's using the N word then, and post fight, and like just back in that N word cookie jar. And it's just like, all right, kid, So, yeah, I said racism too. Like, I'm just like over like okay. So I'll say Teofimo Lopez is a phenomenal talent. He's a world champion, former world, whatever he is, status wise, and he has charisma. He coined the phrase "email champ." And it spread like wildfire. If he should have like, you know, trademarked that thing or whatever, tagged it, gave it the old business tag, and made money off of it. But come on, T.O. Um, and he's he's a pretty good boxer. He's annoying to me. I think it's more outside of the ring than inside the ring. But even inside the ring, we saw Camboso. He lost to Camboso, right? Yep, he lost Camboso. Bozo lost to Haney. Um, so I think he's as talented as he is. He has a layer of sizzle that's not steak. That's exploited by master level boxers such as Devin Haney. You hence why that fight has never happened. You know, um, yeah, and dang, what was the first three things I said? Anyway, let's just keep pushing. Um, yeah, this racism stuff, man. I mean, it is what it is. We over here, FBAs popping our collar. We're good. We're in spring, going into the summertime. It's about to be FBA summer. That's what it's about to be. Um, we standing on business this time around. You know, we ain't our parents. Shout out to our parents, obviously, in our entire lineage. That's what this is all about. But we're not them. And here we are going into summer 2025. And chest has been spread, chin has been up, you know. Um, and we letting y'all know that we have boundaries, And if you test our boundaries, you might get a little heart poke, But that's just for, that's just swag purposes, That's not like really what you're gonna get. So yeah, it's an FBA summer coming up. 2025, and we see that in not only in life, but we see it in boxing too. Devin Haney, swept. You know, his his swept in his fight. Ryan Garcia was you know straight sober. In his dismal performance against the game, Rolly Romero. And we've seen the landscape um, in and around that weight division shifting. We know we got the Shakur Stevenson and Zapata fight coming up. You but what are we gonna do about this racism though, right? Well, here's the thing. Just like in life, the same is true in boxing. We can't do much about it. We can't really do anything about it. They want the N word. I mean, we're not really trying to keep them from using it, but we are trying to keep them from using it because they're just so goddamn disrespectful. Um, so yeah, that's on them, and so we're not. You can't use the N word. Sorry, can't use it. Now, um, so we can't do nothing about it, right? So what does that mean? Well, we know it's just that's just what we know what to do. Ain't no explaining to us where do we go from here. We already know that Team FBA is all the way up. It was getting signal boosted. What I'm signal boosting is positivity among the FBA family, the lineages, the entire nation and all of our tribes within. Um, yeah, this is an FBA summer for sure. Boots on the ground, where the fans at. You know, and with things like the Devin Haney return and that classic performance in his dominance over Jose Ramirez. Um, yeah, we're looking good going into the summer. You know, um, so I proposed to the FBAs that we rally around boxers like that of the Devin Haney and the Haneys. We have Deontay Wilder making his comeback fight. Let us rally in support of that great man, Mr. Till this day in the flesh. I'm looking forward to his comeback. Um, I'm excited to see where he's at. You know, win, lose, draw. That's my guy. You know, so let's rally behind the Bronze Bomber Deontay Wilder, and let's rally behind the fighter that Teofimo was speaking in reference of in his latest usage of the N word, Terrence Bud Crawford. Now, as an Errol Spence diehard, it did take me some time to come around to Terrence Bud Crawford, but I had to put as deep as much as as boxing just juxtaposes life. I had to put boxing aside and see the man who who is Terrence Bud Crawford. And shout out to the illustrious 7-8 Sports TV for really putting me onto game with that. And I knew I was going to come around, but he was a catalyst to help me come around sooner than later with holding on to the Spence Crawford era. So, my message to the FBA boxing fan base: let us rally behind our champions, our representation in the sport of boxing during these times going into the summertime, including but not limited to Devin Haney, Deontay Wilder, Clarissa Shields, Terrence Bud Crawford, and see is deep. It's deep to the point where I'll even put Jose Benavidez on that list. He's not black. Clearly, he's Hispanic, but he is the best. He's the best, and we so thorough with it that that we so nice with it. We just want to see the best. We don't care if someone else bests us, because when you play out the averages, we're still FBA. Team FBA is still the best, and it shows with how they're trying to, do that old school just history repeating itself as introduce a rule where an anti-running rule, because they know the capacity of their favorite fighters don't have the you know the depth to learn how to cut off the ring in this modern boxing era with you got a bunch of little Floyd Mayweathers just running around here, you know. So I'll even go on to say, let's put Shakur Stevenson. He fights Zapata. Let's just support him, you know. Support him heavy, support him deep, support him because he represents us on the highest level of boxing, you know. This is the time for that. Summer 2025. And I think this is going to happen anyway. Organically. I just want to make sure that we are, by this summer, we just so just deep that they're gonna just destroy the myth that FBAs don't support boxing except for Floyd Mayweather. No, we've been the backbone of this boxing market. Shout out to the Hispanics. Yes, they do. They are. They have quite the fan base, but they are not the foundational Black American fan base, the key fan base in boxing. Period. That includes the Europeans and all of them, because in America is where the mecca of Marcus of Queensberry boxing currently lives, and we are the backbone of that market. I'm just trying to use some basic, rationale to convey how we are the FBAs are the foundation of boxing, the boxing market. Now, we got to take this understanding with us, you know, and really support our FBA fight. Oh, Clarissa Shields. I hope I mentioned her earlier. Alicia Baumgartner on the other side. Franchon Cruz's earner. Yay, she from Baltimore. We support the greats. We support the greats. Now, the counter, the counter base, or the other teams, the team, I don't know, Scottish, team, Mexican, y'all hold y'all people down, the same way y'all been doing. But I'm hoping that this summer we really putting on for boxing. You know, there needs to be a Juneteenth, if there isn't, like a straight up Juneteenth. Don't beat around the bush. Maybe an unapologetic, PBC or whoever, which one of y'all want to grab it. It makes total sense to stop dodging the black word all your life, and you'll see how much money you'll amass. I don't get it. But FBAs is up. FBAs are up this summer, and your other lineages out there, y'all just gotta take a back seat. This ain't y'all summer. YNs this is gonna take over the game. I'm not a YN, but they gonna take over the game, and y'all just gotta wait. Y'all just gonna have to wait. We're emerging. Y'all did it to yourselves. We was trying to be, we was gonna play our part in the whole system, but y'all denying us, denying us, denying us. Y'all keep poking the bear. Y'all keep poking the bear. And this summer we up, you know, and just hope that, we don't take it to the summer after that. Just hope that we don't do that, because y'all ain't got no moves. Y'all in boxing, y'all don't have the fighters. Y'all will never dominate the sport ever again. To be real with you, y'all not showing the adaptability to keep up with modern times. So much so y'all trying to, change the rules so that you can you can give training wheels to your front foot favorites. That that never heard of lateral nothing. A lateral step. What is that? Yeah. Y'all making yourselves look like suckers. With proposing new rules to kind of like, give your favorite fighters training wheels, when just evolve your game, learn the lateral movement, learn how to cut off the ring. Y'all probably gotta wait a generational turnover, because these current guys, they old school with it. And yeah, Devin Haney, I imagine his next fight, his next rally, he's just gonna go for the belts. He really not gonna worry about these other guys, because he knows how boxing works. And shout out to his father, his illustrious dad, Bill Haney, for really, like, just getting through to your son in that way, where y'all locked in. That is to be applauded, magnanimously. And now he already undisputed champion. He mess around about to be two-time at welterweight. And I got Bud Crawford putting the flu flops on Canelo. Come on, he's gonna put the flu flops on him. Maybe he ain't gonna knock him down, whatever. Okay, he's gonna outbox him. Clearly outbox him the same way that Floyd Mayweather outboxed him. And even the judges can't even, finesse that. We're not gonna be able to finesse that. That's what I believe, how that performance is going to go. And we need to rally behind each and every one of these black fighters. And we also need to, at the WBO, per the instructions of 70 Sports TV, and tell them that we will not stop until you officially reprimand Teofimo Lopez for his antics. Relevant boxing talk. See you next time.